Hi there, Annie.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm very well and very happy to see you and hear you. You're very clear. Let us know where you are in terms of, because your signal's good, where do you live?
I'm presently living back in Bristol.
Right.
I moved out of London a couple of months ago because I've always had my own place in Bristol. So it was just a case of let's move back, renovate, and continue with acting because I can do both. I've got the time. And kind of that's where I am at the moment. So lots of auditions, lots of practicing, self-tapes. My day doesn't stop. Meditation, exercise. There's a little routine that I have every day, and it's lovely. It's just nice.
What profession have you followed? So to date, what work have you done to date?
I've been in dentistry for many years. Started off as a receptionist and worked my way up to a manager, single site manager, multi-site manager, consultancy, and I've always felt that there's been something missing. There's like I like to fool around a lot. I like to play around a lot. There's that, they always say about your inner child.
Yes.
My inner child's always out playing, doesn't want to sit down behind a desk and sit there typing all day. Wants to play, wants to have fun. And that's why I thought there's got to be more to life than 9 to 5 treading water, getting on at the time I was living in London, so it was getting on the tube every day, an hour's journey to work, an hour's journey back. I'd leave the house at 7, wouldn't get home till 9. It's a long day.
Yes.
And I'd had enough. Enough was enough. So it was like January, actually, last year. Someone said, why don't you do some extra work? I said, well, what's that? Go on to, you just go onto a film set and you're just part of a crowd. So that's what I did. I joined a few platforms and I started doing that. And the moment I got on that set, I felt at home. It was like, this is what I want to do. This is what I should be doing. So let's start classes. So at that time, I still had to work. Obviously to pay the bills, etc. Bills for Bristol, bills for London. So I worked, I went to classes, and I continued doing that for a year. And then all of a sudden lockdown came. And for me, it was almost like a blessing in disguise. I know it's serious, and I know it's a pandemic, and I know a lot of people have lost a lot of people. But for me, it was a time to be able to study, and I attended several online classes, and I learned all about acting and the various practitioners and what they say and how they say it and what they say to do. You listen with your eyes and your ears. When you're acting, you're being yourself. So although you're playing a role, you're playing a role that's you. So for example, my kind of roles would be the kind of jobs that I've done. So dentist, doctor, lawyer, those kind of roles, because that's where I've always been, in that management sector. So that's where I've worked. So that's what the roles that I could play would be, those roles, because that's natural to me.
Yes.
But
your name obviously is Annie Williams. So when you portray characters, tell us of the current character you're playing and the name of the film that you're featuring in.
We've just completed a film called Shielding Sheila.
Yes.
I play a character called Nali.
Yes.
Who is Sheila's next door neighbor. The film touches on a woman with an underlying health condition during COVID. So she cannot go out. She is stuck indoors 24/7. Her health condition brings on her behaviors change, her moods are up and down. The impact on her relationship with her husband is severely affected, and it brings up domestic abuse, violence, and a lot of other themes that have been going on throughout COVID. And at the moment, it's just in post-production. It's got a lot of interest from the international film festivals such as Rain Dance, Women in TV and Film, Movie Hub. There's a lot of interest in it, which is a good thing for all of us. There's 12 of us as cast, so it's a good thing for the cast, and it's also a very good thing for the director and the production, which is Joyce Gray Carter and her husband Clive. So that's what I've done.
It's relevant. Shielding Sheila is relevant in terms of it's a wonderful run off the tongue, as it were, Shielding Sheila, but it's also wonderful in terms of, I don't think there's anybody that hasn't had one experience similar to this lady. And one of the guests that I had, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, was called Carolyn Williams. And she, besides, as you have explained, had a career, but then always felt that she needed to have a calling. And the calling was eventually answered by a visit to her son in Australia. So she went all that way to realize that she had this gift. And it was called the Buddy Bags Foundation. And the Buddy Bags are about children from domestic violence that have to go into refuge. So she made a definite, committed target of reaching 30,000, making 30,000 buddy bags for these children of domestic abuse. And she said during COVID, which is why I mentioned this to you, it's risen sharply, the amount of domestic abuse. So I think it's wise of the director and the characters that you play to portray this, because it's real life.
Yes. It is. It's real life, and it's all the stuff that everybody wants to sweep under the carpet and hide away.
Yes.
And it's got to be brought to the forefront. It has to be recognized, and there has to be things in place, like the things that Karen Williams is doing. That's absolutely fantastic. I couldn't, commend somebody more for doing something like that to help the children. They're the ones that suffer.
Yes.
Through all this, and that's really quite sad.
Yes.
Really quite sad.
So what learnings would you have taken from this particular film?
That never take anything for granted.
Yes.
Live life to the fullest, and always be aware of those around you, and be aware that they may not be, things aren't always what they seem to be.
True.
You can look at somebody, I think it's human error, actually. I put it as human error, is they look at people and they judge.
Yes. That's
the first thing they do. They look at someone and they judge that person. And I think that's such a wrong thing to do. You don't know what's going on in that person's life. You don't know if they're seriously ill, or whether they've just had a bad day, or whether they've lost somebody, or, just because they're not smiling, or just because they're not doing what you expect them to be doing.
True.
We kind of put it, and that's so wrong. So wrong. So from this film, it just made me really appreciate life, appreciate how short life is, and that whatever you want to do, you've got to get up and do it, because no one's going to do it for you.
No. The Shielding Sheila when does it come out in terms of the cinema? Does it, and where's it portrayed?
It's in post-production.
Yes.
So with short films, they tend to go to film festivals.
Yes.
So it will go to an international, it's actually, there's a few companies that are very interested in it. Rain Dance, that's a film festival. Movie Hub, Women in TV and Film. There's so many of them. And these films, they go to the film festivals. And different casting directors, producers, and casting directors all watch the films. And sometimes they see a bit, sometimes they see talent and they think, oh, that person will fit a brief for that, or that person will fit a brief for that, or I love that director and I love the way that they've come up with that story. They could write me a story for this, or, you know, so it kind of, that's almost like the seed.
Yeah.
And from that seed will grow. And which way it grows, nobody knows.
But that's the fascination.
Yes, it is. It is, absolutely.
I can see the inner child in you, because I have the playful inner child. So I think we both met each other.
Definitely.
Definitely. Who would you say, if you look through your life now, who would you say has been a great influence for you? Maybe more than one, you know, depending on who you come up with.
I tell you, the most inspirational person for me is Viola Davis. Other than, obviously, the things that I've achieved inspire me, but Viola Davis as an actress is a brilliant actress. How to Get Away with Murder, Fences. How to Get Away with Murder is a box set on Netflix. It's great. You have to watch it to believe it. She's an actress, she's a producer, she's won many awards, and she's worked really hard to get to where she is. And I admire that. I think, you know, I've always believed anybody can do anything. We're all creatives. We've all got a creative side to us. And we just got to get off that treadmill, go and find it. Stop doing that, you know. All right, some people like 9 to 5, and I don't knock it. It wasn't for me. It really wasn't for me. I get bored very easily. I'm like a 3-year-old at times. My attention span is like, oh, let's do something else now. Let's do something else. But with acting, there's focus there. It's the first time I actually become still, and I sit and I listen. And I take in what's being said or what's going on around me, process it, and then, you know, respond in the appropriate way. So it's taught me a lot about me as well.
Yes.
Which is, it's very empowering.
Self-reflection and self-empowering. Yes, that's an amazing way of looking at it. If you were giving advice to young want to be actresses and actors, what would you say to them?
You've got to go out there. You've got to do those short films. You've got to get yourself known. Keep on social media, Twitter, Instagram. My Twitter account, I'm on there. I'm not on there all the time because I don't like to post. I like to keep what I do close to me until it's ready for release, and then I can talk about it. But you can start off by doing extra work. You can start off by being an AD, assistant director. They have AD1, AD2, it goes on. you can go into producing, you can go into, there are so many different sides of the film set. And if you want to get into acting, you could start on that side, or you could start on the side of an extra. Yes. And work your way up from there, just to get the understanding of the film angles, the camera angles, sorry, the markers. There's so much involved in a film. You know, we take it for granted because we just watch it, it's there. You don't actually realize how much goes into making a film. I did some extra work earlier on in the year, actually, for it hasn't been released, I can't talk about it, but the amount that went into this particular production was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. If you didn't know any better, you would think you were in a foreign country. That's how good it was. But yeah, to start off as an actor is it's very difficult. It is very, very difficult, and there's so much to learn. I have fallen, and then I've got up, dusted myself off, and got back on with it again. And that's what happens. You fall over, you stand up, back up again. You get knockbacks. You've got to have broad shoulders because you get a lot of no's, but then you get a lot of yeses as well, and people that kind of look for you and say, you know, can you please audition for this? Can you please audition for that? And those rewarding moments are the moments that I take and I put them in my pocket and I keep them. Yes. So that when it isn't going so well and when I don't feel so good, I can pull it back out again and it's there.
The digital answer you gave there in terms of you're on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, was part of a question that I was going to ask you. Would you see yourself as, in terms of a digital entrepreneur, would you see yourself as a spotlight, as a starter, or as a signature digital entrepreneur?
Well, I'm probably in the middle of those, actually. If I'm honest. Yeah, I'm probably in the middle.
Yes, playing with it.
Yes.
But through COVID, people, and I've just been on a global call this morning, through COVID, we've all understood that to become digital is the only way we're going to, A, present our brands, our businesses, and connect with people. And I'm a huge connectivity fan, because the mental ill health is as part of an isolated environment that we become. More and more isolated. But if we connect as we are doing and we talk to each other, then for me, the digital era has to be accepted and part of what we do. It doesn't take away from real life, but it helps us to connect. So talking of that, the connection part for me to you, because your name came up via a lovely friend that I've got called Rudy Mehta.
Yes. Really.
And he brought out something that I found fascinating. This is to do with your dentistry, by the way, the career that you've had, and my story. And it's to do with Rudy's story as well, because I shared with him that I'd had a facial accident and a head injury when I was 11. So I ended up, I was in Germany. So I was in southern Germany with my parents, because my father was twin towning in the 60s and the 70s. With South Wales and southern Germany. So I ended up in a hospital with these injuries and had a phobia because of all the camera lights in terms of the theatre. I had so many lights bearing down on me for the injuries because they were obviously doing surgery, that I had this camera phobia of lights. So it took me until I was 40, because it happened on a bike. It happened when I was about 11, 12. So it took me until I was 40 to get back on a bike. And it took me until that age for me to come through the trauma, because I would push off anybody that came towards me with a light or a camera. I would just go the other way. So Rudy then shared with me, because I'd explained it, that he suffered from being claustrophobic. And I don't know if it was you, but he said somebody had suggested acting.
Yeah, no, well, it wasn't me. That's where I met Rudy. I met him in an acting class, and yeah, we kind of hit it off pretty much. Rudy was one of these people that's very laid back, easy to get on with, easy to talk to, and I remember our instructor saying, "Right, Rudy, do this," and you could see the colour drain from his face. And it was like, come on, you can do this. We've just been doing it together. I think we actually worked together at one stage. I said, you can do this. You've been doing it. And once he started, you could see his confidence started to build.
Yes.
And you know, when he says that he's not had, you know, he's had problems with his confidence, and that's kind of why he went to acting, into acting classes. I could never understand why, because he's always, to me, he's always that friendly face,
yeah.
that helpful person, that I don't know, he's a great person.
Yes, and that's how I saw him when I first met him. I travelled from Swansea to Harrow and was introduced to him, and he came across as that very loving, caring person, but he's dynamic. So when you said about the external, the cover, you know, and similarly my own cover, there is a lot of experience behind all of that, and a lot of feelings that go on behind, a lot of emotions that go on behind that. So I can see that acting would have drawn those emotions out.
Yes.
And he said it was empowering, and it made a huge difference. I just found that fascinating. And then you popped up as a name, and I thought, yeah, this is interesting.
Yeah, and just kind of going back to what you were saying about pulling out emotions. I mean, to be a good actor is to be able to have the emotions. And you know, it's Stanislavski, Meisner, Strasberg, they all believe in something called the method. And the method is just basically you being you, but playing a role. So if you're going to play somebody angry, you think about when you were really angry, what really annoyed you to get you to the point where that character is. And you can do it through something called sense memory, where you kind of close your eyes and you say those words. You say that piece of script, and all of a sudden you can feel, taste, and you're in that situation where you were fuming, you know, because of whatever had happened. Or it could be really happy. Happy memories obviously are more fruitful, more prominent than the sad ones. But yeah, that's really how you kind of get into character. You know, it kind of seems obvious in a way, but it's not always the case. I can watch movies, I can watch box sets, and I can think, oh my God, that was dreadful. But put in the situation, and like you say, under all those lights, you know, you don't know which way you're going to go.
No.
You know, but yeah, I've had enough of dentistry, and you know, and I think going from pulling teeth to pulling audiences, that's the way forward.
Yes, I like that analogy. The film that I found fascinating, and I'm sure many others too, but I'm mentioning it because of the way you are and the way you come across, is the woman in the van, Maggie Smith. And the character that she plays is phenomenal. And obviously her co-actor equally phenomenal, but it reminds me of you to a certain extent, because you mold into this character and you become that character until it's finished.
Yes.
So
yeah.
How do you see yourself, and I would say sort of peel off and get back to Annie Williams? How do you do that?
You just snap back out of it. It's really weird. It's quite a build up to get into it. And then once you're into it, once you've played your part, you've said your lines, you come off set, and it's like, there we go, all done. And you just, I don't know, it just kind of dissipates into the air somewhere. It's almost like I find acting quite therapeutic as well, because it releases certain things that you know, as human beings, we can have certain experiences, good and bad, which are buried very deep. We can, by playing different characters, we can pull out those different feelings and release them. Some of them need to be released. Some of them are really good, and you just want to keep hold of them, and it's just awesome just to relive them again. But yeah, I find it very therapeutic as well.
So that we call that from a therapy point of view, you know, peeling away the layers and getting to the real person underneath. So acting obviously sort of draws that forward. Listening to Rudy say that it helped his confidence, and he certainly is. And he's become quite a clever photographer now. So I don't know if he's taken photographs of you.
Yes, he has. Then
they must be awesome.
Oh, they're absolutely brilliant.
Yes.
He did. I used to have red and black hair.
Right.
And I went to the studio, and I said, Rudy, I need some headshots. Can you do some headshots for me? And he said, yeah, not a problem. So studio being his house. So we've gone into the back room, and he's looked at my hair, and he's gone, right, do this, do that, do this, do that. There we go. And I tell you what, these pictures were absolutely brilliant. They were so good. He is very, very creative, very creative. Yes. And I don't think he actually realizes, and I've said this to him, you don't realize how creative, how good you are. Being on this side of the camera, I can see it. I can see the brain. I can see your brain like thinking about this and the angles and the shot and, you know, standing up, sitting down, hairstyle. I can see all that. And, you know, it's amazing when you see it in somebody else. It's incredible, absolutely incredible.
I agree, and he's got better and better. So would you have those photographs done for acting purposes or a personal purpose?
Acting headshots. Yeah, they were actors' headshots. Yes. I mean, headshots are something that we have taken probably 2-3 times a year, depending on hair changes, facial changes. I mean, my hair was there when Rudy first started when he first started taking pictures, and it's kind of down my back now. So I've had, he's taken more of me, but we went for a different look. We went for a curly look. So you've got to show how adaptable you can be. It's like you say, we're entrepreneurs. We have to sell ourselves. We're not selling a product. No, we're selling ourselves. Yeah. And we have to be looking at our best at all times, and sounding our best at all times.
You mentioned sound, and I was going to ask that question there. Again, because of a lot of reconstruction work, I would have a tight jaw. So I would find certain words. There were occasions when, if I had a migraine, I wouldn't be able to pronounce something. So for me, I went to London to the Speak to Inspire course with Brian Rose to learn to be under the lights, under pressure, with people from all over the globe as the audience. So how important is sound for what you hear, and I mean hear, in terms of the character in the performances that you play?
Very, very important. Sound is everything. When you sit face to face, you're sitting in the same room face to face with somebody having a conversation. You know what they're saying, not just from the words, but from the sounds, from the pitches. So you know exactly where they are, purely by what you can hear. So sometimes what somebody says and then the way they say it don't actually match up. So you know there's something else going on underneath. And that happens a lot on film. somebody will say something, but actually there's a lot more going on.
Yes.
And as an audience, it's up to you to be able to pick that up or not. Some pick it up, you know, some don't.
That's the congruency, we call that, and being authentic, isn't it? Congruency.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. We're learning quite a bit here.
Great.
With regards to how you see your life, how would you like your life to be right now?
Right now, I would like to have a part in either something on a streaming service, either on Netflix or Amazon, or something that's continual. I'm not one for movie stars and, you know, big feature films and, you know, to play leading characters in anything like that. What I'm looking for is something that's there, it's there, continual work. And I think that can be, it can take a while, it can take years, or it can happen quite quickly. It all depends. Again, it's down to whether or not you fit a particular brief for something. There's several adverts for Amazon and Netflix for different new series they're about to start filming, and they're looking for certain characters, and I'm always looking on there to see what they're looking for, and, you know, if I fit any particular brief. If I do, I have to do a thing called Showreel. A showreel is the bits of work that I've done, all condensed onto one short minute and a half to 2 minutes, minute and a half. Most casting directors will look after 10 seconds, not even that. They know whether or not you're right for the part. So, you know, it's got to be good. So you'd send that off with your CV of all the work that you've done, and hopefully you'd get that place. And that's where I aspire to be.
And I give you all the wishes, the strength to be able to achieve that, because I can see it in you. The energy is high. It's amazing when you think back to films and series, rather. So Downton Abbey is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Only Fools and Horses is another. And the reason I mention Only Fools and Horses is that wherever I went on holiday, I would put the TV on, or I'd go into a bar and I'd see Only Fools and Horses on. So that becomes a global brand.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see yourself as a global brand?
Yes, I do. I do. Playing a particular role. Yes, definitely. Most definitely. You know, Only Fools and Horses was filmed in Bristol.
No, I didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's filmed in Bristol. Even though it's at the east end of London, actually it was filmed in Bristol.
Oh.
Yeah.
So there's quite an acting base there in Bristol.
Oh, Bristol, Cardiff, yes. Doctor Who, you've got Casualty, Holby City, Doctor Who. You've got a whole host of programs. Netflix are filming as well in Bristol at the moment. Where I live, I've seen a few filming trucks go up the road, so I kind of know what's going on there's something going on up there. Not quite sure what, but I know there's something going on up there.
There's a lovely place that I love visiting, and it's in Llantrisant, Miskin Manor, and they filmed the new Sherlock Holmes series there.
Oh.
And I can remember going there thinking I was going for a nice coffee and meeting somebody, and being stopped because they'd taken the whole building over. Fascinating. Yeah. We're coming to a close, and I'm sad that we're actually leaving each other, because I'm enjoying this, as you can see.
So am I.
I'm happy to hear that. So coming back to happy, where would you say your happy place is?
My happy place.
Yeah.
My happy place is on set, under the lights, playing a character. That's where I'm happy. That's the best place. I don't know. I can't even describe how happy I am when I'm in that place. It's just, yeah, it's just perfect. Absolutely perfect.
It's you. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful remainder of the weekend, starting of the weekend. Do you have any plans for the weekend?
I'm not quite sure yet. I'm not quite sure. So with so many things going on and lockdown, and not sure whether I've been invited to a friend's house, but I'm not. I've got to check out the rules first and make sure I can go. And then, but if not, then I shall be reading and practicing and doing what I love most.
It's been lovely talking to you. I really have enjoyed it. And I hope that there'll come a time when you come back. And I look forward to seeing Shielding Sheila.
Yes, Shielding Sheila.
That sounds fascinating to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. And I'd love to come back and tell you where I am then.
And what part you're playing.
Exactly.
Exciting.
It'll be good.
So exciting. Thank you so much, Annie.
Thank you. You take care and have a lovely weekend.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.